Welcome to Clearview Outdoors. I am so excited about this number 2 video of the reel maintenance series that I've started. This is probably the number 1 tip that I can give anybody. And I've spoken to a guy that is part owner in a reel cleaning company, and they say that over 80% of the reels that come into their shop is due to the worm gear and line guide assembly here. That's what we're going to be getting into. And most of the time it's just dirty. So let's tear into it.
We got a fish on. See you, buddy.
Okay, here we go. So the reason, once again, that line guide is so important, or that worm gear and line guide, you know, it's open. I don't know if you can see that in there, but that's open. It's really dirty in there. Some old grease. And but it's a very essential part. You get sand and hair and pollen and dirt, you know, gravel. It can actually, you could get a piece of gravel in there and break one of these teeth or something off of here. So that's what we want to focus on, is getting that cleaned up, inspecting it, make sure there's nothing wrong. So I'm going to take off the same side that we took off on the last video. I loosened some of these screws trying to speed up the process a little bit. I know people don't like to watch long videos, but something like this, we kind of have to make sure we get everything detailed in. So you move your screws to the side. Of course, you pop this plate off. You never know about those parts, if they're going to hang on or fly. Hey, they hung on. There's a cogwheel that we did. Now this is a different reel. There's a little bit of dirt in there. Okay, we're going to take off our clicker. So you got the little spacers, the little black spacers. Set them over there through screws. We'll move that up there. There's your bait clicker. Just slide it off. Set it aside. And on this one, we're going to take out the spool, just so it don't end up falling out on us. Oh, didn't mean to pull that out. Okay, so this here is all that, this little clip is all that holds that worm gear into place. I hope I'm close enough and everybody can see it. Okay. So I just like to take a little screwdriver, pop that up, grab a hold of it, pull it off, set it right over there with the other stuff. Then you come around here to your line guide. This is your line guide. There's a little screw on the bottom, or a cap, which holds the pawl. You unscrew that. Set that aside. And there's that little pawl. Now it can be a little tricky to get out. I usually take a pair of tweezers, get a hold of it, and pull it out. So there's your hole. Now you can grab hold of your worm gear, get hold of your line guide, pull that off, pull that out. There's your worm gear assembly. And then, now there's a little bearing up in here. So you pull your worm gear out. Get something to get a hold of that bearing. Pull it out. And there you go. But it's still old grease. And we need to get it cleaned up, re-greased, oiled, all that good stuff. This is when the old Q-tips come in really handy. Get that all cleaned up. See all that grime that's coming out of there. Then do the same thing with the worm gear. Get all that crud off of it. Then you'll have to take like an old toothbrush or something, get that out of the grooves. Because that's where we want to put our new grease, is back in them grooves. Get that all cleaned out. And you also want to inspect this. Make sure none of the little teeth are got any bad spots in them. Because if you do, then you're going to need to replace it. And you can get these parts off of several places. There's one called Tackle Dads or something like that. eBay, replacement parts. So that looks pretty good. Pretty clean. Then do your little pawl. Get your pawl cleaned up. Not much to that. You want to inspect that pawl. Make sure there's no chips or anything in it. Looks pretty good. It's got a little wear on it, but that's expected. Clean up your line guide. See, it's got a lot of crud in it too. Get all that out of there. Clean up the outside of it. One more place we want to clean. Well, of course, you want to clean all this up. There's a groove right up here. Right up in here. Then there's some crud up in there. There can be some gravel and stuff like that. Or dirt, just dirt. I like to take a piece of material and take that screwdriver. Really clean that up in there. Just like that. Okay, now we're ready to greaser and oil and up. Let's clean that bearing up. But there's like a groove in there, so I always like to just shoot a little drop of oil. Now this is actual bearing oil from Smooth Drag, TSI 321. They recommend it. So after you oil that bearing up, you want to grease up your worm gear. Now, what I like to do is just fill it up. Fill up them little grooves. Then we'll wipe off the excess. So you just fill up all those grooves best you can. Take your rag and just kind of wipe off the outside. So see the inside still got all the grease in there. So now put our bearing back in on the notch side. Right there. Little white plastic sleeve right there. You can also put a little bit of oil right down in there. I don't know if that helps or not, but it's a moving part, so I like to put it in there. So now you slide your worm gear in here. Get lined up in your bearing. Now you take your sleeve and your worm gear all assembled, and then you take your line guide. You'll put this through the hole. Make sure your line guides turn the right way. The curves in. You slide that on there. So you slide that on there. And there's a little groove up there in the top that goes in. And then the opening goes down. You line up your little notches. See, it snaps right in there. Make sure that little thing there is in the top. Then you come over here. Take your clip. Hope everybody's seeing this okay. Just take your clip. Put in between the gear and the plastic sleeve that we oiled. Then just put it back over in place. Sometimes you gotta take a screwdriver. Just pop that in. Now that's back in. Then take your worm or your pawl. Put it in the bottom of your line guide. Then you'll turn this to see how it just went in. It just barely sticks out. So you want to make sure that it's grabbing before you put your cap on. Then you just put your cap on. I like to put a little bit of grease on that gear. Make sure it's working good. It's doing good. Now put your spool back. Make sure it's in place. Put our clicker back on. Our little spacers. Put the cover on. Make sure it's in the down position, the lever. Line it up, snap it on, make sure the clicker lever works, put your screws back in. That's all there is to it, folks. And I believe that this will keep your reels in great shape, and I believe it'll apply to other reels too. Make sure you come back on the next video. We're going to bearing and drag upgrade. Thanks for hanging out with us here at Clearview Outdoors. Like, subscribe, share, tell all your friends, come and join us. See there? There's that worm gear. Good as new. Come back and be with us.